Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the fourth episode of this podcast series. The focus for today's conversation will be on importance of listening. I'm Devesh Soni, founder of Purpose Genie, a Hogan coach. 15 years of corporate experience. I help sourcing and manufacturing leaders and businesses to build their strategy around purpose through workshop, training, and coaching. And I have got my colleague Neeraj Juneja with me today. Neeraj, quick intro from your side.
Hi, thanks, Devesh. So I'm Neeraj Juneja. I'm an executive and team coach with over 2 decades of experience, having worked with global organizations like Boston Consulting, American Express, NatWest Group, and Axis Bank. And I've got more than 7 years of experience as a full-time coach. And I'm also a Hogan certified coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj. And today, Neeraj will be sharing his experience working with a leader who used to think he was a good listener, but the team, they had a very different view. So let's understand more about this Hogan report and which parameters were clearly conveying this story. So, Neeraj, do you want to share briefly about this leader?
Yeah, sure, Devesh. So this was a leader I was working with about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. And this leader was perceived as confident and capable with a strong intention to engage effectively with others. However, when the feedback indicated a consistent gap between self perception and team experience, particularly in listening effectiveness. So that's where Hogan helps. You would agree, Divesh. One aspect is what do we think about ourselves? What is our own self perception? Second is what is our reputation? How is our leadership style received by others? That's where this gap was emerging in terms of listening effectiveness.
Correct. And this is something very important to understand for the listeners that Hogan is all about. It's not about the identity, the story which you have in your mind, but it's all about the reputation which you have on other people. So the assessment is all about how people are perceiving you. Right.
Exactly.
So thank you for sharing that, Neeraj. What were some of the key behaviors that was very much visible for this leader?
So some of the key behaviors were high on ambition. So this
Mhm.
leader was, quite high on that and used to demonstrate quite high confidence. And in terms of taking initiative, as I said, this person was taking initiative quite well, which supported the visibility and the decisiveness, of this person.
Mhm.
However, when it came to interpersonal effectiveness, particularly listening, as I said before, that was an area of opportunity for this leader. And team members felt that the leader moved quickly to solutions, giving them very limited opportunity to express their ideas, which in way reduced the perceived value of collaboration. They thought that this leader already had solutions in mind,
Mm.
and they did not feel like giving any ideas and contribution to what he was asking.
Hmm. This, Neeraj, this reminds me of one of the training session which I was doing for the managers in my last company.
Okay.
This was about inclusion, and one of the manager very proudly said that, you know what, I do a weekly meeting with the team members, and they really, and I make sure that I listen to them. I stay silent, but I had an opportunity to also talk to the team members. You know what they said? Yes, he does listen to the things, but only what he wants to listen. So there is a
Hmm.
difference between listening by the manager and feeling heard by the team members. So
Exactly.
are those team members feeling heard? So it is important that you need to cater to each and every individual so that they feel heard, because everybody has their own, you know, own ways of listening to the things. So we need to understand about the team environment which we are creating as a manager so that they actually feel heard, they can express themselves fully. So what you mentioned about limiting opportunities for others to fully express ideas, I think those opportunities will be only created when we, as a manager, when we create those environment where they can really be themselves and share their express, fully. Thank you.
Absolutely. Devesh, you in fact reminded me of three levels of listening. First is when you are listening to respond. So this manager and leader was listening to respond. He
Correct.
was already framing answers, when people were asking any question. So the
Exactly.
second level of listening is when you are observing the body language of the person sitting
Mm,
in front of you,
mm,
especially in a virtual space, the way you would appreciate. Let's say if people have not turned on their cameras and if
mhm,
they are
mhm,
on Zoom, You've
Hmm.
already lost that opportunity of observing their body language, their tonality. Third is, observing what's not being said, as we say in coaching. So it has actually reminded me of a rule called 73855, that whenever we are communicating emotions, 7% weightage is for the words, 38% is for the tone, and 55% is for the body language. Imagine you are a manager or a leader working virtually, managing a global team. If you're not able to observe a body language or tonality, you've already lost majority of the opportunity.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Thanks, Neeraj, for sharing that. Although you have mentioned that this leader demonstrated some of the strength in ambition, confidence, and taking some of the initiatives, uh,
Mhm.
in any of the psychometric assessment, I think it is important to understand the awareness is really important to understand that what should we dial up and what
Exactly.
should we dial down. So, what according to you, for this leader, this person should be dialing up and dialing down the behaviors? Can you just tell me that?
Yeah, sure. So under pressure, this leader sometimes exhibited, tendencies associated with being overly skeptical or bold, which was appearing dismissive of others' inputs or overly certain of their own perspective, which is what made people feel that this person already has solutions in mind, already crafted. They did not feel like contributing. And sometimes this also led to interrupting others, discounting their viewpoints, reinforcing a perception of not listening, which were the derailers for this person. But in terms of the dial up and dial down behaviors, Divesh, I had recommended this leader to practice active listening, which is about taking a pause in between, paraphrasing what other people are saying so that the other people feel heard, and clarifying if they've not understood that, hey, this is something I'm hearing. Is that what you said? So that people feel heard and they feel that the person is fully present in that situation. And when somebody delays a response, it helps others to provide their full input and encouraging those diverse viewpoints before they conclude. In
Hmm.
terms of dial up, this was encouraging people to speak more, taking a pause, and establishing that trust and demonstrating that, hey, I'm fully present in this conversation, which is what is helping this leader now to become a better leader per se, although it's a strong term. But they themselves said that I can see that trust getting established. People are more open to speak in their one-to-one meetings. And I did ask this leader, how long do you speak in your one-to-one meetings? They said I would speak, say, 80 to 90% of the time. I said, if your people are not feeling heard, that's their one-to-one, right?
Right.
So they have now started doing 50-50, and eventually the goal is, you know, for that leader to go to a 20-80 kind of space where they are speaking 20% and people are speaking 80% so that they feel fully heard. Hope that answers your question, Divesh.
No, that's very interesting. I think this is really important to for all of us to understand because the way uh, the kind of environment which we have in business nowadays are really, really high pressure. There is a lot of fear in the equation because of all these changes which are happening. Uncertainty is there. So it
Mhm.
is really important for all the managers to understand. I mean, although it feels like externally that I am doing, intention is really good, but sometimes intention doesn't work. It is really important to see that how your actions are impacting each individual, and we need to really be attentive on sometimes what words they are speaking and also sometimes what they are not speaking, because most of the time people who are speaking, it means something else and they say something else. So, as a manager, it is really important to also see those non-verbal cues from the team members, and that will really make a lot of impact on the team members so that they can fully express themselves, and that is really important uh, in today's world, at least I would say.
And
So, yeah, you want to add something else? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
then.
yeah. So I came across a very powerful phrase over the weekend.
Okay.
It says, only if you care to listen, everybody has a story to share.
Exactly, correct. I mean, this is so Beautiful. I mean, it's a simple statement, but it really means like there is the deep meaning into that, because we all crave for speak to somebody, who can really understand that what I want to say. So that is really, deep and meaningful. So
Yeah.
thank you, Neeraj. I think those questions were really important. I hope that listeners would be really, it is. I mean, it is some of the micro learning which we are sharing with the team, with the audience, but I think it is going to bring a lot of shift and understanding about how Hogan is helping towards, all those small changes which you can make, and it can really impact your team members. Manager self realization after Hogan's feedback session. I really realized that I was listening to understand, I was listening to respond, to fix, to move on.
Mm,
So I think it really helped me to understand about, how it is important to ask some of the open questions, paused uh, for some time, and
yeah.
also how we can stop interrupting and those micro reactions which we have sometime on the face. So thank you very much, Neeraj. Um, to the listeners, thank you very much for giving the time, and I wish you a great week ahead. And we'll see you in the next episode on May 4th, and we'll share something very important topic again, so that you know that how do we use our self awareness so that we can help others. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Divesh. And I want to park one thought with our listeners today that if you wish to be heard, listen to the same person with the same passion as you wish to be heard.
Yes, thanks. Thank you very much, Neeraj. And for all, I wish you a very great week ahead, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.